So we've heard from students, we've heard from donors, and we're going to do something different this year. We're going to hear from a former student about what the fellowship has meant for her post-graduation. I'd like to introduce Dominique Stephenson, a MAC 2016 graduate who received the Charles E. Sams Jr. MAC Scholarship. She's now an audit assistant at Deloitte in Washington, D.C.
Good evening, everyone. It's good to be back here again. I want to thank Eddie and his wife, Pam, who's really supported me when I was here at Kenan-Flagler and continue to support me. Now, when I look back at that video and I think about when I stood here before this very same audience 2 years ago to give this speech, I just remember very distinctly how I felt. I was hopeful and excited about the future and about the adventure that I was about to embark on in public accounting. And I had a great vision laid out, which we saw in the video. But like any great story and any adventure, even with the best intentions and well-laid plans, things never quite go exactly as we picture it. For instance, the brisk fall day that I expected turned out to be a hot and muggy June day. And instead of breezing off of the Silver Line Metro and into the beautiful Deloitte building, I instead inched my way through an hour plus of DC traffic, got a little lost on the way, and ended up at the client site, which turned out to be a little lackluster. Now, the things I could control turned out great. You know, hair, makeup, clothes, it was all good. I did strike that power pose before I walked into the audit room, but that's when reality set in, when I walked into a small, windowless audit room that could comfortably seat about 6, but was home to about 10 auditors. Now, these little hiccups didn't dampen my spirits, and it didn't make me think that I had made the wrong decision. I just moved forward, ready to make my mark on my team and on Deloitte, like I was pumped and ready to go. So like any well-trained UNC graduate, I'd prepared the night before, did some research on my client, read a couple of things, and took some notes. And I was ready to tackle any task that was going to be thrown in my way. But much to my dismay, on that first day and many days to follow, that task included changing dates, highlighting cells, moving data from this cell to that cell, and a few spreadsheets. And that's when I paused and I was like, wait a second. I was supposed to be analyzing complex accounting issues. I was supposed to be picking this client apart from the inside out. This is not the task that you give to a student who has mastered Dean Rady's case studies, or a student who has gone through Professor Skinder and Professor John Hand's classes, or who survived Professor Behringer cold calling doing lectures. I'm a Tar Heel. I went to one of the top accounting programs in the country, but apparently this Tar Heel still had a few things to learn. And learn I did. It was a painful experience, the kind of learning that one can only have outside of the classroom. But actually, this was the best part of my story. The learning and the growing, because this doesn't stop after you graduate. Because I was challenged to really see what I had really learned, not just coded into my brain long enough to pass a few exams, but what was actually inside of me. Because these moments, there was no glitz or glamour, there was no nail-biting stories to share with my friends that were still in school about public accounting. It was just the good, hard, quiet diligence of work. Work that sometimes can make you work into the early mornings and to test your patience. So after I completed my first year, started my second year, and actually I was in my 5th month of busy season just a few weeks ago, and I was struggling to stay motivated. Fortunately, there was a young lady on my team who had graduated from the UNC MAC program in 2015, the year prior to me, and she consistently reached out to me and said, okay, Dom, you got this. You can do it, don't give up. If you need someone to reach out to, like, I'm here for you. And that's when it really hit me, and I realized the true power of this UNC community. And in thinking about that moment, I would compare UNC to a professional golfer, a Dustin Johnson or Tiger Woods, if you will, a well-trained, experienced golfer. Now, this golfer has a golf bag equipped with a plethora of top-of-the-line putters and drivers, and those putters and drivers have been provided by you, the donors. And those tools would represent like professors, programs, technologies, and all of the things that make our school function well. Now, the golf ball, that represents the students, perfectly aligned for direct impact by this powerhouse that will set the course of their future. Now, to a novice like myself, the first time I was on a driving range, I thought the most important thing was you just got to make swift contact with the ball, like just hit it, and which turned out to be clumsy for me a lot of times. Just get the ball off the tee. However, a trained professional knows that it's all about the swing, which starts long before you make contact with that golf ball, and it continues long after contact has been made. And that's what I experienced on those nights with my fellow UNC alumnus. The power of the follow-through. And that follow-through will determine the trajectory, the angle, and the distance that students will be carried. You see, UNC brought me to the door of my career, and it helped me open that door. And while it's my decision to take the necessary steps to go forward, it's still the follow-through of this community that's carrying me forward into my next level. And that follow-through represents the UNC community that reaches beyond North Carolina, and it represents the resources that remain open to its graduates. And that community has been with me through those late nights at the client site, months spent studying for the CPA exam, and that follow-through is the mentors and the volunteers and the donors. So I admonish you here today to realize that we are part of a collective story, a journey. And that story is impacted not just by your dollars, but the time and the energy that you actively invest in our community. So I'm not going to try to redo this and paint a wonderful picture of what my future will hold in the next few years of my career. But I will say, and I know for a fact, that UNC has just created a strong foundation for me, a foundation that I'm currently standing on. And they've given me the tools and the community that I need to succeed. And I intend to contribute to our story. And I hope that you will as well. Go Heels. Thank you.
Thank you, Dominique. Thank you for your parents being here. To all the donors, I wouldn't swap our students for the students at any school, and many of them are here and able to attend because of your generosity. Thank you very, very much. I have a standard saying that this school would go just as far as our alums carry us, and you're carrying us a long ways. Thank you very much. To the students, thank you for coming. You have something to do before you go. We need a picture of all the students, and you need to go to that back wall to get the picture immediately after we're done. To everyone, thank you for being here. Another great Donors and Scholars night. Good evening. Go Heels.